When did you realize that some people truly deserve a special place in hell? 6 hours after my 16-year-old daughter Mia was attacked at a house party, Detective Karen Walsh told me she was probably lying and that pressing charges would ruin a good boy's future. Mia came home that night completely traumatized, her clothes torn, barely able to speak. She told me through tears that Jake Morrison, the star quarterback whose dad owns half the town, had cornered her upstairs and hurt her while his friends blocked the door. I immediately drove Mia to the hospital for evidence collection, then straight to the police station. That's where we met Detective Walsh, who took one look at Mia and said, "Honey, are you sure you didn't just have a few too many drinks and regret it later?" Mia had never even had alcohol before. She was shaking, traumatized, and Walsh was treating her like she was making it up. "Jake Morrison is a good kid from a good family," Walsh said. "He's got a full scholarship to state. Why would he need to force himself on anyone?" When I demanded they arrest Jake, Walsh laughed. "With what evidence?" "It's he said, she said. And frankly, Jake's word carries more weight in this town." She said filing charges would just put Mia through more trauma for nothing, but Mia was determined to get justice. She gave a detailed statement, naming the boys who blocked the door as witnesses. Walsh barely wrote anything down, then said, "Look, these boys will just say it was consensual. You really want to drag your daughter through that?" The next day, Walsh called to say she'd investigated by asking Jake about it. He denied everything, claiming Mia had been all over him at the party. Walsh said case closed, no evidence of a crime. I went to Walsh's supervisor, but he backed her completely. Detective Walsh has 15 years of experience. She knows how to handle these delicate situations. Maybe your daughter should focus on moving on instead of destroying a young man's life. Things got worse when Jake's father, who owns the biggest construction company in town, started pressuring us to drop it. He offered to pay for Mia's therapy if we just let boys be boys and move on. But then Jake started bragging about it at school. Other students heard him laughing about how he got away with it and how Detective Walsh was on his side. Mia was being called a liar and a slut while Jake was treated like a hero. When I brought this new information to Walsh, she said, "Boys talk big to impress their friends. That doesn't prove anything happened." She actually suggested we consider homeschooling Mia to avoid the drama. That's when I hired a private investigator. Within a week, he found 2 other girls Jake had hurt, all dismissed by Detective Walsh with the same excuses. One girl's parents had been told their daughter was asking for it by wearing a short skirt. The PI also discovered Walsh's son played on the same football team as Jake. She'd been protecting the team's championship chances by covering up attacks. The coach had even thanked her personally for keeping the boys out of trouble. But the real bombshell came when we found Walsh's text messages. She'd been coordinating with Jake's father to discredit victims, sharing confidential police information, and even coaching Jake on what to say if questioned. The FBI got involved when we proved Walsh was taking bribes from Jake's father, $8,000 for every case she buried. She'd been running a protection racket for wealthy families, letting their sons hurt girls with 0 consequences. Walsh got 12 years for corruption, obstruction of justice, and civil rights violation. Jake finally got arrested and convicted on multiple counts. The other corrupt officers in her department were fired. Mia's in college now. She still have nightmares about it.